We're in the beginning of autumn, and as a photographer passionate about landscape photography, I think this is the perfect season for you to be outside. In this video, I will share with you a few ideas and tips about photographing the beautiful autumn landscape. So let's get started. My presentation from the video from today is going to relate around what type of landscapes you can do during autumn. And first of all, just 1 minute to talk about myself. My name is Tom. I'm a full-time landscape photographer. I'm doing this from 2009. And from 2012, I'm organizing workshops and photo tours, and I'm also creating courses. Now, my workshops are organized in Italy, especially in Tuscany and in the Dolomites. Also, I'm doing workshops in Lofoten Islands in Norway, and also all over Romania, all types of workshops in the mountains or photographing the beautiful countryside of Romania. And if you're interested, you just look in the description of this video, see my website over there, and you will see my photo tours. Now, my idea about landscape photography is that as a photographer, you should offer to the viewer an interpretation of what you see and what you can achieve by framing and by point of view. So you are presenting to the world a slice of reality, but in your own interpretation, in your own visual way. And in this presentation, I will show you a few of my autumn landscape photos and offer you some ideas of what to pay attention to during this season, and also some tips along the way. And if you enjoyed this presentation, make sure to share it with the world, because others may need it. Now, the vibe, the whole idea of this presentation is summed up in these photos. This is like a theme board, if you want. These are some of the photos that I'm going to present in this video. And if you like this type of autumn landscape photography, you may want to stick around. Maybe you will find a thing or two, or maybe you will just enjoy looking at the photos. Now, the first idea or the first tip that I want to talk about is color. It's obvious. So looking for color in a season like autumn, I think, is the most obvious thing, and you can do so much with just hunting for the color. Now, the tip, even though it's an obvious one, it's slightly overlooked. Wait for the proper light. Sometimes, as a landscape photographer, you are blown away by the beautiful colors in front of you, and you tend to forget about light, and you're photographing in any situation. Now, this photo over here was made during sunrise, and I'm photographing into the light. The sun is rising right in front of me, and what this does is light up the leaves of these trees. All these yellow leaves become much vibrant and much saturated because, or thanks to that light. And over here we have other pieces of images that you can look and see that I've explored the color. I was focused on the color. Now, the first two images are created moving the camera, just simply moving the camera during the exposure. The third one, it's a static shot, but it's interesting because I have two trees in the photos. And maybe if you're looking at the photo, you may be thinking that it's only one tree, but the tree in front has no leaves on it, only the branches, and this kind of gives structure to the entire image. I thought that this would be really, really interesting. And here are the photos in their full format. Over here, I moved the camera up and down. Over here, I played with the zoom, so you can do all sorts of things. But color is very important. Tip or idea number 2, negative space. And if you want people to notice color better in your photos, try this very simple and effective technique. Find a dull and boring negative space that has something of color in it. This works not only with landscape photography, but also with travel photography or maybe urban photography. If there's only one element that pops out because of the background that kind of looks the same and can be treated as a whole, then you achieved your goal as a photographer. And as you can see in this example, I have only one group of trees. They are also located on that support diagonal, and that acts like a support line. It draws the attention of the viewer over there. Of course, the shadow in the back also helps to create separation between the subject and the background, and everything else acts like a simple negative space. Now, another tip is that autumn is the season when you should be working more outside and on your computer. And it's an obvious one, but I'm telling you this because as a full-time landscape photographer, as a person that earns a living from landscape photography, I find that I'm spending more time in front of a computer, editing photos, preparing them, uploading them to different websites, trying to sell them, trying to promote them, and less time is dedicated to photography. But during autumn, I think that I try my best to go outside as much as possible and leave the editing especially to the month of November, when nature becomes more dull, if you want, especially forests lose their leaves. And as a landscape photographer, you have to move up towards the higher mountains. And idea number 3, foggy forests. The forest offers so many photographic opportunities, but the situation I like the most is, of course, a foggy forest. Fog will simplify the landscape, will get rid of the clutter, of the chaos, and it will make the composition look a lot better. Now, my view on foggy forests is an interpretation of the landscape. This photo is part of a really huge series that is ongoing for years right now. It's called Stories of the Forest. And maybe at a certain point, I will have a photo album with all these forests. But this is my way of photographing fog in the forest. I think it's a much more interpretive way. It's a way of showing you what that landscape could be, maybe in a fairy tale, or I don't know in what place. Now, another tip is that autumn is at its fullest during the month of October. Everybody knows that. Yet I hear so many photographers saying, well, when the colors were full, I wasn't ready, I wasn't prepared, and I missed it. Even though it's an obvious moment. Mid-October is the place where you should be traveling as much as possible as a landscape photographer, and yet so many photographers are missing it because you're not getting ready. You have to know where you're going to go, where you're going to stay, what you're going to photograph. It's very simple. And establish a budget and have your car ready, or plane tickets, or whatever. But as long as you are ready, you're gonna get the photos. Tip number 4: reflections. And I don't think you can make nature photo and call it abstract simply because of the concept of nature, but you can create it with this concept of abstractization. Don't know if that's a word. If that's not a word, leave a comment below and correct me. But if you have this mindset that you're going to extract a little piece of what's in front of you and make it, let's say, different, and present it in a way that people will start looking and wondering a little bit what they're seeing. That could be really, really interesting. For example, in this photo, this is a reflection. You see the bare, empty trunks in the water, and what you see, the redness and those lines at the top of the photo, those vertical lines, are a simple reflection of the forest behind. And when you have reflections, you can capture also the object that is being reflected plus the reflection, and you can use symmetry. So it's a moment when symmetry works best. For example, in this moment, in this photo, I use a vertical symmetry, but if the situation allows me, I will also do a dead center placement of the subject. But symmetry looks really well when doing reflections. Number 5, silhouettes. You can do this type of photo when you have interesting looking tree trunks, or in the month of November when the leaves are falling down and there are no leaves on the trees, and the trees have that spooky look in the forest, like they're having crazy looking hands and stuff like that. But of course, fog helps. Fog always helps. Idea number 6, minimalist. Morning fog can look spectacular on the surface of the lake. And over here, I use the trunk trees and the water as a main subject. And because I'm photographing into the light, that light makes the fog a lot more visible. And also the forest behind has less contrast. Because of that, the darker close trees that are closer to me pop and have a greater contrast on them. And here is another photo that explores kind of like the same subject, the same idea, the same concept. And in this situation, when you're going to photograph mornings on the lakes, you get idea number 7, go spooky. And the morning fog can look spooky, like in a spooky movie. And in order to achieve this kind of look, you have to go there really early in the morning and be there before the sun rises during the blue hour. It's the best moment, I think, to get this type of eerie images. Now let's move back to more colorful images with idea number 8, creeks and waterfalls. And I can't say this enough. Go inside the forest, because during autumn you'll have a spectacle of colors, and it will look really well. In this photo, for example, I have the water, I have the beautiful colors of the forest, I have the rocks, and I have that bridge in the background. The way I position myself, I created a diagonal through the photo, and when you're photographing inside the forest, the rocks and the water have a yellowish tint on them, and that's why in this photo you see the rocks and the water a little desaturated. I don't like that yellowish feeling, that yellowish tint, and I desaturate a little bit. Number 9, misty mornings. It's happening a lot during autumn, and mist is rising from the trees, and usually there are layers and layers of mist that look really, really wet, and you should not miss those misty mornings. And as you can see, these are really beautiful. These are some countryside photos from Romania, in the area of Maramureș, where I do a lot of photo tours. This type of layering with a low mist looks really, really well. Idea number 10, sunset in the forest. Now, it doesn't matter if you don't have fog in the forest. It looks better when you have fog, but if you don't have fog, then during autumn, it will still look incredible during sunrise or sunset. Personally, I prefer sunsets in the forest because the that quality light, in my opinion, lasts a little longer. And you also have the possibility to photograph a little bit after sunset. And this way you photograph, you're having a bigger window to capture the forest. Idea number 11, morning frost. The mornings are going to become colder and colder, and one morning you will see frost on the hills. But in order to make this photo work, you need to include some elements of autumn, and you have this contrast between the white of the frost and the memory of winter, that it's kind of the thing that is going to come, and then you have autumn that it's still here. And this these two elements that are put together create a big contrast, and they look really really well. As you can see over here, I have some large trees over there. That's the yellow spots, and you have snow on the top of the mountain. Looks really, really well. And idea number 12, top view. And top view, you get that by using a drone. So, and I think the description from number 12, it's not proper. And if you are watching this video until this point, I will apologize for that. I forgot to update the description. But in order to get these kind of photos, you need a drone, of course. And I'm not using the drone to go incredibly high up in the sky. I'm going as high as needed to capture or to frame whatever I want to frame. And I'm using lines that are invisible to us when we are walking on the ground. And when you go up, you see these lines completely different, but you get these beautiful lines in the ground. Now, I would say a big thank you to all of you that are still watching this video. And again, if you want to join me on one of my photo tours, or maybe if you want to buy my ebook on landscape photography, you can find the link to my website in the description of this video. And of course, over there, there are all the details. Now, thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on photographing, because it's the only way to get better. Bye-bye.